seeing the past couple weeks has been shaky with Adidas and Gap. Kanye is making money for these companies. It's not like he an employee. He's in a partnership with major corporations, Adidas, Gap. And for Adidas, this man's making you millions and millions and millions. I mean, Kanye right now is on track to make over 500 mil with his Adidas deal. Anyhow, he's been fighting control over his own brand. Yeezy. Adidas calling the shots and not informing Ye about them, that we got an issue there. The same thing going on with Gap. And we're at a point right now where Ye and Gap recently terminated their partnership. Right now, Ye and Adidas, it looks like they're on some rocky waters, but it looks like the contract, for the next couple years, they're going to do their thing. We're going to find out what Ye does next. But Kanye went from, you've probably seen but most likely you've seen his infamous rant on Sway in the Morning, from you ain't got the answers as far as him wanting to start his own branding and then the obstacles he had to face. And now at a point where this man making 500 mil off the partnerships with these companies, well-established companies, it's phenomenal. And there's a quote that you probably heard. You're like, that's some bars right there. I know when I heard it, I'm like, of course, that's a Ye bar right there. It's not that I'm not right. Sometimes I'm just not right now. Now, there's something we could all learn here from this quote, and not just for the sake of, oh man, this is super deep, bro. Like, as a Ye fan, sometimes we'll be like, damn, yeah, you really spicy. But aside from my mind is blown. Sometimes with whatever you're doing in your life, just because other people don't see it, just because other people aren't agree with it, and you know what? For that moment, not everybody gonna be rocking with it. It might not be the timing for everybody else. And to a certain extent, you might even question, is this something, for whatever you're doing, is this something that's right to do? But if you continue to believe just in your vision, in yourself, and what you have planned, eventually it's going to be right for everybody else when they catch on. That's how I took the quote. Whenever I break these quotes down, it's not for, this is how you should take. This is how I took the quote. This is how I want to reciprocate it. Because we've seen this manifest for Kanye, from having issues with corporations, not wanting to, help him out, be on board, such and such, to now being at a point where he made Adidas to where it is today. He making them bank. Yeezy worldwide jumped over the Jumpman, depending on who you ask. Yeezy jumped over the Jumpman. And we saw this go full circle. Today, Kanye himself saying, hey, you know what? Sway was right. Sway was right. And then whenever Kanye said that now, that Sway was right about telling him he should, instead of going to these other corporations to start what he needs to do, he should be in charge of everything, down to the material, down to how from the material, how it's being manufactured. If you want everything under your own direct control, make sure everything's under your control instead of being in partnerships and agreements, because there's compromises when it comes to partnerships and agreements. Now, another thing about that, when Ye said he was right, knowing what Sway said, the first quote that came into my head was, it's not that Sway wasn't right. It's just that he wasn't right back then. I feel infinitely more amazing redoing that. And this is important to know, because we could say, you see, Sway, he was right all along, but something Kanye had to understand these past couple years, or like close to a decade. This wasn't the same Kanye that we had when he was talking to Sway. This wasn't when Yeezy was established. This wasn't when Yeezy arguably jumped over the Jumpman. This isn't, season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up until right now we're anticipating what? Yeezy season 9, as far as his clothing. Kanye had to go through these partnerships and agreements, through these ups and downs, to really understand not just understand the vision and what he wants, to understand, all right, how do these corporations work? How are these materials made? What factories, the relationships he's had to gain. And most importantly, I think this is a very underrated part of all this, the money. And I'm not saying this from a point where, oh man, I understand everything about business. Listen, y'all, right now I'm understanding how to build my business, how to pave this foundation down, and to develop it, nurture it. I'm in my learning steps. But from what, to my knowledge, Ye didn't have the most money. At a certain point, he was technically in debt. So to think that back then Ye would be able to have the same success he does now by doing it all by himself, without the experience, without the relationship, without the hands-on process of how these companies manufacture their shirts, their shoes, everything that goes into it, I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening. And even right now, I don't believe that Sway was exactly right back then. But Sway is definitely right now, because this version of Kanye is ready to have everything done under his own brand. Everything from the manufacturing, from the material, the entire process, to where if he wants to set a product at $20, it's because he called the shots. This ain't a partnership. This isn't an agreement. This isn't something that, well, we got to talk to a bunch of executives, so on and so forth. It's Ye. But he wouldn't have reached this point if it wasn't for Adidas. If it wasn't for, even though it wasn't much with Gap, having that Gap situation to really be like, oh, damn, it really ain't sweet out here, regardless of the $1 billion deals, regardless of the track record with Adidas. And there was another quote there where he says, not exactly, but it was along the lines of, even with his reputation, he felt he hasn't done enough for these companies to respect him. And I was like, damn, Ye, that's how we feeling right now? All right. Another quotable that I want to speak on is Danny Harris. The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't are both right. Now, I want to discuss this for those of you, whatever you're thinking about. As amazing as that Kanye quote, that Kanye bar was, this is also true. Not pertaining to any situation, but hey, listen. For people that feel they can't do it, self-explanatory. If they feel they can't, they can't. They're right. Who's anybody else to tell them no? At the end of the day, it's up to the person. The man who thinks he's right, he is right. Now, we could tie that quote in to what Kanye said. Because if you really believe in yourself and anything you do, just go through whatever you got to do. And you're going to find out for yourself if you were right or not. I know that definitely sounds a little bit weird. But what do you mean you're going to fight yourself? I mean, if you think you can, then you're right. You just got to believe you can. Until something stops you. A little bit messy. That's the way I would describe it. And another send-off that I got from the interview would be the maximum version of who you are. Be your maximum character, and that's where your maximum happiness will arrive. And what better person to learn this from than Ye himself? Whether certain people want to dismiss him for quote-unquote mental health. Other people just want to dismiss him for any other reason. I'm not telling you to praise the man. I'm not telling you to love the man. But one thing you can say, that man's a maximum version of himself. And, to anybody that listens to this and you're listening to me say it, definitely apply this to yourself or whatever you do. I know I feel like I'm getting a little too preachy here, but those are some of the stuff that I got from the interview. And as far as the business side of things, when it comes to timing, hey, I always say you're always at the right time. If you feel you're behind, you're not behind. If you feel you're too far ahead, you're not. You're always at the right time.